What's going on, everybody? Today I will be doing a Chapter 2 Season 7 Fortnite weapons tier list. Now, it might be a little bit short because I only picked the best out of the rarities of the weapons, not like the lower quality ones, like rare weapons and stuff. I just picked the legendary or whatever's the highest. So, we're just gonna get into it. By the way, this is my own opinion. It's not really based on what I think is actually like a real tier list. Like, this is just my opinion. Now the Scar, I want to say, I don't know if it's godlike, but I think I would put it in the great tier. If I find a Scar, it is in the ideal loadout. Oh, there's my Twitter down there. Make sure you follow me. Haha. I think I would put this up in great, because if I picked it up, it would be my ideal loadout, and I feel like the Scar can really just shred enemies down, and it can cause a lot of pressure. You can really mow down builds with this, so I think it's actually a really great gun. Now, the bolt. Personally, I really like snipers. I don't know if it's in the great tier. I would have to say good. You're gonna want to hit headshots, obviously, but even body shots, it's guaranteed to break people's shields. So if you can hit your shots with this, it can really put pressure on the enemy, because it'll break their shield, force them to heal, and then you can just rush as a team. So yeah, I'm gonna put the bolt right here. Now, the AUG. I honestly think I would take a Scar over the AUG, maybe. I probably would. I'll put it in good tier. I feel like this weapon is really good because of the accuracy. The second shot on the burst doesn't have first shot accuracy, but it still feels really accurate. And if you have good enough aim, you can really just consistently hit headshots with this thing. It's not the best for mowing down builds like the Scar is, but for hitting headshots and just putting damage on enemies, it's really great. Now, the RPG. I would say it's godlike just because it can do so much damage. It can, because of its explosion radius too. And, oh yeah, also the rockets have become a lot more common. The weapon itself is rare, but I think it's actually really useful, especially end game. People are going to be terrified of you if you have an RPG, and it can really just break down builds. Like, if someone just decides to build a 5-star hotel, you can just destroy it instantly and they'll die of fall damage or something like that. So, personally, I think the RPG is really good in a loadout. Now, the ray gun. Not really in my ideal loadout, to be honest. I don't want to say it's bad, but at the same time, I don't think it's exactly super decent. It might be decent, but it's just such a low damage weapon. I'll go with decent. I don't know if it's really for destroying builds or anything, but if you can laser people, then it can do a lot of damage just because the fire rate just constantly shreds. But it doesn't really do that much damage, because a laser, if it did that much more damage, then it would be way too overpowered. So obviously they're gonna have to put the damage lower, but it's not the worst gun in the history of the game. But it's okay. Now, the AK. It's not great, but it is good. Again, I would take the Scar over this gun. I would probably take the AUG over this gun as well. The heavy AR can hit really hard, but it's not going to be great for mowing down builds. And also, it has a slower fire rate, so it's not going to be really the best for spraying at someone and pressuring or hip firing. The Scar and the AUG can be better with aim, since it has better accuracy, and the Scar has better fire rate than the heavy AR, so that's why I put the heavy AR in the good tier. It's still a really good weapon. You just have to have the accuracy to use it, basically. Now, if I were to put the lower rarity weapons, there probably would be some awful or bad, maybe, I don't know. But so far, I'm looking at this and I don't know if there's any really bad or awful weapons. The pistol. Now, I have lasered with this before. The accuracy is absolutely insane, just zero recoil in general. I'm gonna have to put it in decent as well. I do think it's better than the ray gun just because it can do more damage and it still has a fast fire rate, so if you can aim with it really well, then obviously it's gonna shred, but it's just not part of an ideal loadout. It's a pistol, so I usually don't find this thing in my inventory, really. Now, the lever action shotgun. Now this shotgun, the range is okay, the spread is okay, the damage is pretty good. It's just not the pump though. Good. I'll put it in good. There's a lot of good tier weapons here, which means a lot of the weapons are pretty good this season. So I put it in the good tier because it's strong, but the tack is much faster, and the tack can still hit pretty hard too. And then it's just not as strong as the pump. So it's a good weapon, but it's just not as great. Now, the pulse rifle. I don't want to say it's bad. It's not a terrible weapon. So, I'll put it in decent. I don't know. I'm kind of trying to decide on bad or decent. I feel like it's not a bad weapon. It's just that I would usually take literally like any other AR over this weapon. If you aim down sights, then it'll give you more accurate shots, but it won't. I don't think it actually does more damage, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's just not gonna be super great compared to the SCAR and the AUG and stuff like that. I feel like it's just not as good. I've used it before, and I usually don't have this in my loadout. It's just not as strong. It won't take down builds as much, I feel like, so it's just not super ideal. Kinda accurate, but I honestly think the heavy AR is better than the pulse rifle. So I'll just put it at decent. Now, the pump. I'm putting that in godlike. Probably one of my favorite weapons in the entire game, in the history of the game. Just the highest rarity one can actually have the potential to one-shot opponents when you're right in front of them. And that is huge. You can get some huge shots with this. If you're in a tight situation, you can just 200 pump people and it'll just get rid of them instantly. And yeah, sometimes you might hit like 30 damage shots and stuff, but the pump is the pump. It's gonna hit really hard if you can hit your shot, so the pump is definitely godlike to me. Now, the railgun. The railgun, honestly, probably one of my favorite weapons this season. I mean, the railgun can literally shoot down 2 builds with one shot, which can literally take down an entire build. If you find a certain weak spot and stuff, it can help you take down a build. And then you can shoot someone through at least one build, which is pretty huge. Like, this is the first weapon that could shoot through surfaces or builds and hit people. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't need to destroy the build either. It can still be, the build can still be up, but it can still shoot the person. And it hits pretty hard for a hit scan sniper, so I honestly think the railgun's pretty OP. I've won multiple games using this thing, so that's definitely going to be a godlike for me. Rapid fire SMG, I wouldn't say it's bad. I would say it's decent. The rapid fire SMG, it can take down builds pretty well if you're close up. It can shred if you hit every shot. And also the reload time is pretty fast on the rapid fire, so that makes it pretty good, but I never really use SMGs in my loadout, to be honest, so not really ideal. Now, the SMG, I don't know if I would say it's good. decent maybe? Decent as well. I'd say the SMG is decent. I might take it over the rapid fire. The SMG doesn't have as fast of a fire rate, but it can really shred, and it has a bigger magazine size, and the reload speed honestly isn't bad. So again, not ideal loadout, but SMG is pretty okay, and if you don't really have anything else to use, then this is pretty good. Or if you just have it as a secondary, like you shotgun someone and then switch to your SMG, it could be pretty good. Although I usually just use my AR when I'm switching to a different weapon. But overall, not a terrible weapon. Now, the suppressed SMG, I never use this gun. Honestly, I think it's kind of underwhelming. It used to be good back in the day, but they've nerfed it, like the fire rate. Pretty sure they've nerfed the damage too. So this SMG is just really slow, and it just doesn't hit that hard. It honestly doesn't really feel like a very good gun to use. So in my opinion, I'd put it in probably bad. Maybe just scratching the surface between bad and decent, but I don't think that suppressed SMG is very good anymore, and no one's really using it. I've never really seen anybody use it unless it's like they need to have a gun in order to kill somebody in a situation. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the suppressed SMG right now, not impressed. Now, the TAC shotgun, I'd put this in great, because yes, it hits hard, but also the rechamber time is really fast. And in a battle, that could beat the pump. If the person doesn't hit a high enough pump shot, you could get a second TAC shot and win the battle against a pump user. So the TAC in some situations could beat the pump, no matter, even if you're right next to each other in a box. Because you need to have accuracy with the pump, and if you don't hit the shot, the TAC can easily kill you, even if you miss 1 or 2 shots. So overall, I think the TAC is a pretty good shotgun. Definitely better than the lever. So that concludes my Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 7 weapons tier list. I might make another one later about every weapon ever in the game. Although I might have a never used tier, because I probably haven't used a few of them, but anyways, this is my final tier list. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, and maybe even leave a comment. I'll see y'all in the next video.